Howdy folks, welcome back to Faded Paint Garage. As you can see, we got a new addition to the shop here. Really not quite as exciting as it looks. This is a hollow case that I picked up at the Portland swap meet when we were down there. It's just a hollow core. Somebody had already put this pulley and bearing on the front, but the inside's all gutted. You can see it's just hollowed out, but picked it up cheap. Thought it might be kind of fun to throw on the, heck, I don't know, maybe I'll pop the hood off and throw it on the top just for looks. I don't know, that's kind of cheesy, but this piece is just a piece of board I had, painted it aluminum, and then I 3D printed these Stromberg 97s. Thought that looked kind of cool in there, and I added some line to kind of make it look like it's realistic from a distance anyway. Kind of dig. If anything, it's just good, cool shop art. I'm not sure what I'll do with it. It was pretty ugly looking when I got it, so I wire wheeled it and cleaned it all up. But anyway, we're not working on that today. Just thought I'd share that for giggles. What I'm gonna work on now is putting the front bumper back on. And normally that wouldn't be a big deal, except as you can see, the frame horn, or whatever you want to call it here, where it sticks out, this one's bent down. So if I put the bumper on there, it's going to be crooked. But the other thing I want to do is I want to bring the bumper in a lot closer to the body. So right now, if I put it on there, there's 4 or 5 inches anyway, 4 inches between the bumper and the body and the valance. So I might have to cut these off or something, or just chop them off, and then I can suck that bumper back in. So, but I got to get that thing leveled with the other one first, or figure out how to shim it, or, well, I might just chop that one off and re-weld it, or I'm not sure, but I think I might look at taking the valance off so I can get around that better. So I'll take some measurements, figure out about where I do want the bumper. I think this is the original bumper. I wish it were chrome, but we'll just have to go with black for now. I did have another idea for up front, but I'm going to save that for a later time. Maybe redo this again down the road, but for now we'll go this route and see if we can't get it stuck back on there. Here's what I was talking about sticking out a whole bunch, which is fine when it's just being used as a pickup, and gives you a little more cushion if you do get in a fender bender, but I want to tuck that in tight. You can see it's really crooked the way it is, so I've got to fix that. But I'd like to bring it in probably to, to where I only got maybe an inch or 3/4 of an inch or something between the body and there. Just tuck it up nice and tight, because that's a lot of gap. Looks a little goofy to me, so we will tighten it up. Something else I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these lower tabs off. It's going to make my plan a lot easier just to mount the bumper itself to the frame without those. That makes it stronger, and they're good to have on there, but these are all bent up to nothing, so I'm just going to take the torch and cut the rivets off, and then just look at just attaching the bumper right to the frame without those guys. After a little more analysis here, each side has these holes back towards the truck, and this hole and that hole look like they're well aligned, and I think if I use this hole here, and I'll have to drill another one here or something for the inside hole, I think that'll put the bumper in a pretty good spot. Now these look factory to me, so it's just interesting. I'm not sure what they were for, so I'm just going to chop the front of the frame off. And then I got to looking, so the bumper doesn't fit on this tight. There's some excess, and that's what that other bracket did, is came in there. So I might have enough tolerance in that slack to put a spacer here to raise the side up that's bent, and then I can put a spacer on the bottom there. Now if you walk up to it, you'd see this frame was lower than that one, but I don't think anybody's gonna care. So I'm going to chop the frame off on in both spots there, and then we'll mock it back up and see where we are there. If anything, I could take this piece here and actually weld it up and over that, and just kind of give me a lip for that thing, a good solid spot to mount it. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to chop those off and we'll go from there. This is looking much better with that. So again, these are factory holes. This one here and that one there, and they're going to line up pretty close. Of course, I'll have to drill some new holes. No big deal. Gives you an idea there. I just chopped a little bit. I just left 3/8 ahead of that hole, which is what the other holes had in front of the frame. So just cut them off straight there. Again, so I'm gonna see if I can't get spacers to raise this end up enough to level it without having to cut that or do anything fancy there. The other thing too is this side of the truck's been hit, and this side of the valance actually kind of goes up, and well, it goes up and down the way depending on where you're looking at it, which part got hit. You can see all the Bondo in there, but so as your eye looks, it might not look perfectly normal anyway, just because that's not perfectly level, but we'll level it off the ground at least and get it close so it looks half decent. It'll look a lot better than it is now if I just put it on there. It definitely looks cockeyed. So we'll keep on trucking here, clean that up with a grinder and do all that good stuff. This is going along a lot easier than I thought it would. Got it on there with a spacer, and about the max spacer I could put in there is a 1/2 inch. That fills the gap between the bumper and the frame. So I just put a spacer on the top end of this side to raise the bumper over here, and it's definitely level enough for me. Again, that valance is still tweaked. So, but I got to brag on this plasma cutter again. This Cut 60 prime weld. It's a cheapie. $600 or something like that, and it zipped right through this 1/2 inch steel like it was nothing. So I definitely recommend this guy. This thing's such a time saver for me. I'm really tickled since I've added that to my collection. My wife actually bought that for me, so she'd definitely keep her. So I'll have to end up cutting another piece to put a spacer on the bottom on this side to fill that gap between the bumper and the frame, and then do some hole drilling here, and boy, that'll be about it. I don't know if I like the black bumper, but it's so funny that you get used to looking at something for so long and get used to it, you know, not having a bumper and just frame stubs sticking out there looks better to me than this, but I know this is going to look better. It looks a little cleaner, and it'll also give me a place to put a jack or something in the event I get a flat tire. And that's something else I'll do before I'm done probably with this part of the project. So I'm going to let the air out of this tire, make sure that if I were to get a flat, that the body or the frame doesn't hit the ground first before the tire, otherwise you're going to lose control and tear up a bunch of stuff. So I'll let the air out of that tire and make sure that that we're good there. That I didn't set the suspension too low, I guess is what I'm saying. Still plugging right away. Something I want to point out that I guess I made a mistake on, but so when I cut this frame off, there's plenty of meat left in this bottom hole, which is a factory hole to reuse, but over here, as you can see, that one's not, so I had to drill a hole farther back. So if I were going to do that again, I'd make sure that I left plenty in this front horn, which and now that I'm looking at it, this one here is drilled straight down and lines up with that one. This one doesn't seem to, well, maybe it would. Yeah, so I would, if you can keep that hole, keep this factory hole and keep that factory hole, I think that would make this easier to do, and then you'd only have to drill one new hole. So learn from my mistake, because I don't like drilling holes if you don't need to, reusing stuff. So this side will be fine. Just wanted to point that out. Bumper's all done. As you can tell, it looks a little bit different than it did earlier. A friend of mine was over today, and I was telling him how much I didn't like the black paint on the bumper. So he gave me the idea of stripping the paint off and polishing it up. So that's what I went ahead and did, and I can definitely live with that. That looks pretty good to me. I just did 80 grit, then 120, then 220 with my little auto body sander, and then I had my polishing. So I went, did some scratch remover, and then went up with some jeweler's rouge, which I could do a lot more polishing if I wanted to put the time and effort into it, but I can live with this for now. This looks pretty good. And then I finished it with a coat of wax, so we'll see how long that lasts, or if I got to keep doing that to keep it from flash rusting, I don't know. Might just sand it back down and clear coat it at some point. I'd like to find an old patina chrome bumper. You know, that I'd just hate to get a brand new bumper chrome when it looked kind of weird on here. So this looks pretty good. Polishing that steel, it still looks kind of old, almost looks like old chrome. So I can live with that for now. But otherwise, you know, I'm happy with it. I need to raise this side up a little bit more. I got a little bit more room for a shim I can put under there, just to level it out a little bit better. But I'm happy with it. So that's it for now. We will catch you later. Thanks for watching.